Hi guys, my name is Yeti Alamidi and welcome back to Living Life with Your Favorite Nurse. So I hope everyone has been doing well. Before I said videos were coming out, but it kind of took 6 months for another video to come out, so I apologize, but I'm hoping if I say it one more time that content is coming, you will believe me, but content is coming. Anyways, so I did like a little Q&A on Instagram, and I basically asked what kind of content do you guys want to see in this season, in this time period, and I got a lot of like questions that people wanted me to answer. So I said, okay, let me use this video to answer some of those questions. So let's get started. So I got a lot of how has wedding planning been, and I would say it has been lovely. It has been great. Yeah, it has been great. It's very stressful. It's very exhausting. I've never planned a wedding before, but I give all thanks to God for strength. And I think you have to be gentle on yourself and acknowledge that you haven't done this before. Like, it's a learning process. There will be a lot of opinions, a lot of ideas, but sometimes you just need to breathe, take time to relax, and also remember you have a life outside of wedding planning and things like that. So just make sure that you yourself, internally and externally, you're doing okay and you're not getting too overwhelmed. One of the questions I got is, how is it planning a Nigerian Canadian wedding in Canada? And I would say it has been interesting. Only because if you, let's say, choose not to go to Nigeria to get some of the things that you need, you do have to kind of rely on other people who are there. You have to rely on pictures, you have to rely on videos, things like that. You can't, feel stuff. So if you do have the opportunity at all, I would think it's maybe a good idea to go if you would like to, if you are getting some things from there. It's kind of nice to be able to maybe see some of those things yourself, but I would say Instagram has been amazing. Finding a lot of vendors on Instagram, communicating with them has been good, and then they can show you what they have. But the thing is, like, you could buy like shoes per se, you can't try them on, they'll get sent to whatever address, and then you're hoping by the time they get to Canada they fit. And that goes into another question: how do you get things from Nigeria here? You also can't necessarily rely on people to bring things for you. Shipping is a huge thing that you have to use, and one thing about shipping is prices always change. You're waiting for airlines, so sometimes it could take a certain amount of weeks, and sometimes it can even take longer. So if you need something like immediately, it can be a little stressful, overwhelming sometimes, because you won't get it when you want. So you also have to do a lot of things in advance because you need things to come by a certain time frame. You also need to make sure they make sense in case you have to reorder something else. So those things are just also stuff to keep in mind. So also, if you do go to Nigeria, or whichever country you might be from, if you're doing your wedding in Canada, maybe you can order some of those things ahead of time before you get there. You can try them on, you can do fittings, you can do all those things. So instead of just going there and doing everything in the certain amount of weeks that you have, you can kind of pre-plan to have things already ready for you. So when you get there, it's just to see if they make sense, see if they fit, all that type of stuff. One thing that I would say has been interesting is just the prices of things, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's Canada. You can think like, oh, this would be worth this price, I think. And it will shock you when you get the bill that it's a lot more. It might even be double what you thought. So I would say, like, when you kind of start wedding planning, maybe go online and see like average prices of stuff so that you can actually make a budget that makes sense. Because let's say, like, let me just use this as an example. Let's say you're like, we're only gonna spend $1,000 on photography. You make your budget and you get a quote that's like $5,000. What are you gonna do? If no one is actually even charging $1,000 or close to that. So you actually kind of want to get an understanding of what type of price people charge. Doesn't mean you'll go all the way to $5,000. Maybe you'll look for someone that's like $4,000, 4,500, something like that. You don't have to go to the extreme end. It's good to actually be realistic, because then you'll see that your budget will just times 2 when you actually get the real prices of things. So it's important that you do a little bit of research before you start to just make sure it makes sense. Doesn't mean though you won't have prices that come up that are just wild and you're like it's way over our budget, but we want to do it. But anyways, yeah. You get my point. So I got a question about vendors here in Canada, here in Nigeria. I'm going to wait to talk about that. I'm going to do a video just about that. But I would say I've had a decent experience with vendors here, vendors in Nigeria as well. So anyways, look out for that video. So I got a question, is a wedding planner necessary? I would say absolutely. There's different types of like plans that they can have. They can maybe assist you from 1 year in advance. They can assist you from like 6 months, 3 months, or day of coordination. I think it's important to note what you want from them. That will kind of help you determine which plan you should go with. Also the money that you have, how much you're willing to spend. I love 1 year just because they help you from like the beginning of your search, helping you kind of get organized and things like that, letting you know what vendors we need to get, things like that, just basically keeping you on track, and also basically getting those vendors and then coming back to you just telling you how much they are willing to price, and then you decide if you want to go with them or try someone else. So I think it's extremely helpful if it's something you can afford. I would always suggest it, at least. That's just something I would suggest that has been very helpful, I believe, to us. So yeah. So I got a question, how was dress shopping? Like also places you would go. We went to Florida for dress shopping just for fun. I always knew I wanted to make a custom made dress, but I would actually say even if you are going to make a custom made dress, it's actually really fun and nice to try on dresses to see like what fits your body, what you like, what you don't like, so that you can actually kind of draw and put together a design that you would like if someone were to make your custom made dress. So that like instead of you just kind of picking a type of dress that you would like, if you kind of find a similar dress to it and see how it kind of looks on you and how your shape looks, how you feel in it, I feel like that can also give you more guidance to the dress you might eventually want to create. So I actually think, like, again, even if you're gonna do a custom made dress, have fun and go try on dresses, and then you can actually take pieces from dresses and put them together to create your dream dress. So yeah. So like I said, I'm gonna create more videos about wedding planning and all that type of stuff a little bit later, so stay tuned for those videos. So I got some questions on marriage counseling. How was that? Was that a dread? And I would say it actually was not. I don't know where the dread of marriage counseling came from. I would actually say it was absolutely lovely, so necessary. I've heard a million times, marriage is the school that you get the certificate before you've done the school, blah blah blah. I've heard it like so much, and it is true. And I think going through marriage counseling, acknowledging that, you know, we have a lot to learn, and that marriage requires a lot of learning, requires growth. You can't be stuck in, well, that's just me, that's just how I am. Also acknowledging that you're responsible for another person. I've lived life, you know, I can, let's say, be caring and helpful to my family, but I've still lived life just kind of being responsible for myself, and now I'm making a commitment to be responsible for somebody else, and not something that you turn off today, turn off tomorrow. It's a consistent thing. It's a thing you're gonna do forever, and that you should find joy in, not something that like you're exhausted about or you're not happy about, but something that you actually want to do. You want to care for this person, you want to support this person, you want to love this person all the time. So in all, I would say it was very awesome. We had amazing teachers, and whether it's mandatory or not, I feel you should definitely do it, and you should actually look to take something out of it, not just, oh, this is something I have to do before I get married, but actually say, like, what can I gain from this? And one thing that actually kind of came to me during marriage counseling, and maybe it's because of Instagram and just, you know, all the things in society that we see, you know, just talking about the type of man that you deserve, the type of man that you want, like pray for this type of man, stuff like that. I felt like I was actually convicted to actually be like, okay, yes, you want this type of man, you need this type of man, cool, but like, what type of woman are you? Are you actually like the woman like someone deserves? Are you actually a good wife, or can you be a good wife, or is it even your intention to be a good wife? Like, are you just interested about all the things you can gain? Are you also thinking about how you will treat someone else, how you will love someone else, all those type of things? So I feel like, yes, although as women we are the prize, because we are, I think you should also like meditate on the prize that you are, and also acknowledging that we're not perfect. and our spouse won't be perfect, but we're also not perfect. So what can we fix individually? What do I need to work on? What are things that could be a problem? And then what am I actually intending to do about them? So I think that's also really important, because we did talk a lot about what the scripture says about what a good wife is, what a good husband is, and things like that. So, you know, when they're reading the verse about what a good husband is, like, you could be saying yes, yes, yes. When it's time to read about like what a good wife is, are you actually listening and saying like, this is what I want to be? So that's just something to think about. I got one question: how do I feel about the end of singlehood? And interesting question. How do I feel? I feel great. I feel happy. I feel like this is the right time. I feel like I've chosen the right person. I feel very blessed. I feel very happy. I feel like, you know, life can look different for many people, and there are definitely different seasons for many people, but I feel like entering this new season is the right season. I'm interested for the responsibility that comes with it, which is maybe a weird interest, but I am interested in it, which I didn't really expect. So I'm just excited to see what life looks like and, you know, do that journey. One thing that I've also seen at this time is in everything you have to ask for strength. You have to ask for help and wisdom from God, because again, this is not something I've necessarily done before. I do not know it all. So even in the simplest things, ask for help, ask for wisdom, and I believe it shall be granted unto you. I feel although there's a lot of glitz and glamour in this time, and there's a lot of parties and celebrations, I think it's also important to remember the purpose of why this is all happening and like the core of it. So I think it's also important not to like lose sight of that, and also build your relationship, strengthen your relationship at this time, and like also don't lose focus in that. So yeah. In all, I would say I'm happy to be ending the singlehood era. That's basically the gist of it, and I can't do it on my own. All right, so thank you guys for joining this little Q&A chit chat. I had a lot of fun. I've missed you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Instagram. I have a lot of content hopefully coming out there as well. I hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful week. Stay tuned and keep living life with your favorite nurse.